On January 3, 2026, at exactly 2:01 in the morning, American helicopters descended on Caracas. 30 minutes later, Venezuela's president was in custody. And just like that, control over $17.3 trillion worth of oil reserves changed hands. But this wasn't really about Venezuela. It wasn't about democracy. It wasn't about drugs. It wasn't even about oil. It was about something far older. A pattern that has repeated itself for more than 2,000 years. A pattern so consistent, so mathematically inevitable, that once you understand it, you'll start seeing it everywhere. At this moment, the United States carries $38.5 trillion in national debt, and it's growing by more than $6 billion every single day. For the first time in history, the interest payments alone have crossed $1 trillion per year. And at the exact same moment, 142,000 millionaires are quietly moving their wealth and themselves out of traditional financial centers. This is the largest voluntary migration of private capital ever recorded. This is not a coincidence. This is stage 4 of a 7-stage cycle that has brought down every major empire before it. Rome, the Dutch Republic, the British Empire. The raid on Venezuela isn't the beginning of the story. It's a symptom. A desperate attempt by a global power to secure real assets as its own financial foundation begins to crack. What comes next is already written in history. The only question is whether you'll recognize it in time. Empires don't just collapse randomly. They rise and they fall in the same sequence through the same stages every single time. Different centuries, different technologies, but always the same outcome. Let's walk through it. Stage 1. Sound money. Every empire begins the same way, with sound money. A currency that's backed by something real: gold, silver, hard assets. Trust follows value, trade follows trust, and wealth follows trade. This is when productive capacity expands, education flourishes, and innovation accelerates. This is the golden age, when wealth is created through real productivity, not financial tricks. This is when empires are built on solid ground. Stage 2 is expansion and prosperity. With new wealth comes expansion. Infrastructure, public works, social programs, roads, aqueducts, healthcare, education. The middle class grows and the quality of life improves for everyone. But something subtle starts to change. The empire begins spending more on maintaining its prosperity than on creating it. Consumption starts to outpace production. Slowly, quietly, almost without anyone noticing. Then comes stage 3, debasement. To maintain its global position, the empire has to project power. This means military bases, protecting trade routes, and getting involved in foreign conflicts. Costs rise much faster than revenue. Taxes increase, but it's never enough. So the empire makes a fatal choice. Instead of cutting its spending, it debases the currency. Rome did this by shaving silver from its coins. Modern empires just print more money. The method is different, but the result is identical. More currency chasing the same amount of goods. Inflation begins. At first it feels manageable. But trust is eroding, and foreign holders of the currency start to notice. They begin to diversify their holdings, quietly. This leads us to stage 4, resource acquisition. This is where things really start to accelerate. The empire realizes its currency is losing credibility. So it does what all empires do at this stage. It goes after hard assets, oil, minerals, strategic infrastructure. Military operations suddenly become resource missions. Regime change becomes a tool for asset control. Security is the excuse, but resources are the real objective. This is where we are now. Venezuela holds over 300 billion barrels of proven oil. At current prices, that's worth $17.3 trillion. The hypothetical scenario of the United States seizing control of those reserves isn't some strange anomaly. It's textbook stage 4 behavior. But here's the problem. Stage 4 doesn't fix the system. It only buys time, maybe 5 to 15 years if history is kind. And while the empire is looking outward, the internal decay accelerates. Stage 5 is the loss of confidence. This is when the general public really starts to feel it. Not in government reports, but at the grocery store. Their savings lose purchasing power. Their wages fall behind the cost of living. the wealth gap explodes. Those who hold hard assets prosper, while those holding cash fall further and further behind. Social cohesion fractures, political extremes rise. Foreign governments quietly start moving away from the empire's currency. Trade routes shift. They build up their gold reserves. Alternate systems for international payment emerge. The privilege of having the world's reserve currency begins to crack. Then we hit stage 6, fiscal dominance. This is the point of no return. The national debt becomes so large that the interest payments alone dominate government revenue. The central bank faces an impossible choice. Either raise interest rates and make the debt unpayable, or print even more money and destroy the currency's purchasing power. This is fiscal dominance. The debt now controls monetary policy. On January 5, 2026, former Fed Chair Janet Yellen warned that the conditions for fiscal dominance are strengthening. History tells us exactly what comes next. Finally, stage 7, collapse and reset. Every single time without exception, the cycle ends the same way. Hyperinflation, default, or a combination of both. The currency collapses. All the wealth that was stored in paper evaporates. But the wealth stored in hard assets explodes in relative value. This is the great wealth transfer. It moves from those who trusted the system to those who understood the pattern. History never misses. Rome debased its currency until the silver content in its coins fell below 1%. Prices exploded, trade collapsed, and Rome fell. The Dutch dominated global finance until massive debt and war destroyed their currency, the guilder. Britain ruled the world for 2 centuries until its own debt and wars dethroned the pound sterling. Holding the reserve currency status didn't prevent their collapse. It only delayed it. And in the end, it made the fall even more painful. People will say this time is different, but it's not. Technology didn't save Rome, it didn't save Britain, and it won't save this system. Productivity doesn't fix the math of unsustainable debt. Printing money doesn't create wealth. It just transfers it. History is crystal clear on this. Empires fall when their spending permanently exceeds their productive capacity. The only variable is the timing. That operation in Venezuela wasn't a sign of strength. It was desperation disguised as power. When empires start grabbing hard assets by force, the cycle is already far advanced. Based on historical precedent, here's what likely comes next. In the next few years, we'll see rising inflation, more capital flight, and increasing social tension. In the next decade, we'll see the erosion of dollar dominance, the introduction of capital controls, and a series of financial crises. And within a generation, we will likely see a full monetary reset. This isn't a wild prediction. It's a precedent written in the pages of history. Most people will ignore this. They always do. They'll believe that someone, somewhere will fix it. They'll hold on to the hope that this time is different. But history says otherwise. You have a choice. You can understand the pattern, or you can be consumed by it. Because the pattern is absolute, and the great wealth transfer is coming. The only question left is, which side will you be on? Thanks for watching. If you found this valuable, please like and subscribe for more content that looks beyond the headlines. See you next time.